everybody, welcome to Contra Marathon. Tonight I'm going to be playing Contra 1 on the NES, Contra 3, the Alien Wars on the Super Nintendo, and then finally Contra Hardcore on the Sega Genesis. Let's do it. No Konami codes here. Strictly hardcore. Sorry for the late start. Usually start at 5 p.m. Starting here at 5:30. Had some stuff come up. Sorry about that. Yeah. Play some of the best action games to ever grace the video game system. My personal favorites. I'm not sure these days whether my favorite is 3 or hardcore, which is basically what several people said after I made the Contra 3 video. So yeah, you gotta really check out hardcore, it'll be your favorite. It's close, they're definitely neck and neck. For sheer gameplay, probably gotta give it to hardcore, but as a complete package, I don't know, Contra 3, the music, the visuals, the music, so good. The music is incredible in hardcore as well. Well, that's the thing, they're both so different in presentation that, you know, it doesn't really feel like they're competing with each other, you know? Hardcore is this more like wild, you know, crazy, you know, lighter tone, I think, overall. It's not as like grim of a game as Contra 3. Same thing with the soundtrack. Contra 3 is all, you know, serious or orchestrated, or I should say orchestral sounding type music. Whereas hardcore, you know, it's like, hey, this kind of soundtrack, maybe let's try and go something a little bit more like wild, you know? Take advantage of the FM synth of the Genesis, and it just comes together pretty cohesively. Troop, hey man, Brisky. Bryce Boot, hey. Subbed after I saw your Contra 3 retro. Obsessed with these. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'm not quite a speedrunner, but I think I'm alright at these games. Yeah, definitely some of my favorites. I was almost considering throwing in Probotector, just for like some variety's sake, but gotta stick with the tried and true. I am going to be skipping Super C this evening. Super C is great, but kind of wanted to get a little bit more variety if I'm going to be playing 3 games in the same series back to back. Some like, you know, the games having such different presentation. Anyway, we're gonna get to a point. We're gonna get to several points in the stream where I'm probably gonna need to shut up a bit, because obviously these games are not exactly a cakewalk. Contra Discord would love to have you if you want a part of the Contra heads. Yeah, maybe. Post the link, I'll check it out. Alright, I gotta pay attention to this game. Alright. As I mentioned in the description, I'm playing this one on the N64, so I'm using an N64 controller to play this, which is not ideal. I am using the D-pad, you know, which is obviously better than the analog stick. That would be just insanity, but it does feel a bit weird. But I say I'm pretty surprised. The emulation's pretty tight. This is the FPGA emulation that's built into the Everdrive 64. And I feel like I'm playing more NES games on my N64 than I am N64 games. But whatever. So N64 games, like I mentioned, you know, a few times that I talk about it, it's like, it's hard not to just emulate that stuff when you want to play it. That system really benefits from the upscaling emulation. I'm gonna reset this. That's enough for a practice run, but just playing way too sloppy. Let's start over. Play like garbage. What was that game? It's like indie game. It's kind of like in the spirit of Shinobi and some like Battletoad stuff, I think. It's like a cybernetic ninja game. I completely forgot the title to that. I wanted to look into that, see if that's coming out anytime soon. Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. Okay, January. Excellent. Yeah, I will definitely be checking that out. Absolutely. I'll stream that day one. Yeah, it's honestly, in terms of games I'm looking forward to, that's up there. Can't think of really anything else on my calendar. Or even stuff that doesn't have a release date yet. I mean, Dragon's Dogma 2? That'll surely be good, right? Inevitable Elden Ring DLC. What I'd like to see are more of the indie games that are kind of paying homage to classic stuff. Kind of branching out a little bit more, you know? It's like, how many Metroidvanias do we really need? You know? There's so many of these games that are, I feel like, just getting kind of formulaic in the same way that a lot of the mainstream titles are, just, you know, different approaches. Like that looked like something where, yeah, definitely paying tribute to the classics, but not necessarily cut from the entirely same cloth. Like, you got rapid fire? I got rapid fire, sure. Alright, yeah, going a lot better now. Just need that little warm up. If I sound a little out of it, I am very, very tired. I've gotten very little sleep the last couple days, so apologies if I sound extra sleepy or incomprehensible. All this game's art style. They did a really great job translating this from the arcade to the NES. Yeah, the arcade hardware is definitely, you know, significantly more powerful even by this point than the NES, but technology, as we all know, is no substitute for good art direction, and they definitely, at least in my opinion, did a much better job here on the NES. Also, there's the funky aspect ratio of the arcade game. It's almost like it's built like a vertical shooter, despite the fact that, I mean, there are some instances, I guess, like the boss fight right here, but that would make sense. For most of this stuff, though, horizontal scrolling action, I don't think it really does. 22 games I'm anticipating, plus 18 I'm cautiously optimistic for. Almost all of these. Yeah, right on, man. For me right now, it's basically all, you know, stuff on the backlog, exploring stuff that's been out there for, you know, either only a few years or decades, exploring all that stuff. With all these older systems I've got set up with the Everdrives and optical drive emulators and all that stuff, it's like the, it's like unlimited. There's more stuff available to me just in terms of old games than I could ever play in a lifetime. It's all good. The Bayonetta 2, maybe sometime in December here. I'd probably go back and do a few more runs of the first game first, try and like rinse it out, you know? I feel like I've only scratched the surface of what's possible in Bayonetta. Are more people doing stuff like the Ocarina of Time PC port, Ship of Harkonnen. I always mix that up. Harkonnen. That's from Dune. It's Ship of something. Hark something. Yeah, the Ocarina of Time PC port is incredible. You know, and it's like this all-time classic game that just continues to get these kind of mind-blowing updates. That's really nice. Out of the possible things I was going to stream tonight, I was considering maybe Field 4 on the PS2, Ancient City, but play that game these days. Yeah, you can play it on PS2, but it's one of these things where the experience would be significantly improved playing it on PCSX2, increasing frame rate, tweaking certain aspects of the game, like the crazy low turn speed. Yeah, it's fantastic. It certainly has that FromSoft spirit right from the get-go. I mean, the intro cutscene, it feels like it, you know, model complexity and texture, all that stuff. Visual fidelity aside, it has very much the same feeling as something like the Dark Souls 1 or Demon Souls intro. And then you start the game, and one of the very first things you see is the crestfallen warrior. It's the same thing. That guy's sitting there in that pose. Kind of hilarious. I think that might be the first iteration of him. I know that Patch is... I haven't played it yet, but his first appearance was like Armored Core 4 or something? Or Armored Core 4 Vengeance? Something like that. It's the first game Miyazaki worked on. Armored Core 2 was another possible pick for tonight, but again, it was like, you want to get that set up looking good in the emulator. Probably would also want to brush up on those controls, because they're a little funky from what I remember of the first game. Look at those hitboxes. Oh my god. Making the same game longer than we thought. You know, playing a little bit of Elden Ring again lately. And I was thinking, I just really thought, when I was first playing it, I was like, what if the whole concept here, like a meta way, is that this is supposed to be the, like, Valhalla of the FromSoft, like, multiverse. Like, give me an explanation for why all of these elements are recurring and reused. Obviously that's not the case, but it wouldn't be completely far-fetched considering the other kind of Nordic mythology things that are incorporated in there. This is the afterlife or purgatory where all these other FromSoft characters and deities have ended up after death. Speaking of Armored Core, I have a hunch that in a few days at the Game Awards we might be getting a trailer for that. Just a hunch. I don't know for sure. I'd bet $20 on that getting an announcement trailer and Elden Ring DLC. Surely will be a very worthwhile event to watch. Where they go up against the Game of the Year heavy hitters such as the Cat game and God of War. Sonic Frontiers. they're going that route, it would have been cool to start the game with that multiple giant tree ending thing they do. Yeah. Well, you do see that imagery quite a bit. I mean, Lord Ran is basically built on top of a giant tree, right? You go down to Ash Lake. I mean, you see it right from the get-go as soon as you get the Firelink Shrine. Obvious, but yeah, confirmed in Ash Lake, and then you see all the other trees in the distance. It's like those are all the other FromSoft worlds. Well, it's funny, I feel like such a dumbass, having not seen any of the Studio Ghibli films, you know, and then watching just the few I've seen so far, and be like, oh, this is, like, completely where they got this visual or just entire, like, you know, ideological concept from the get-go. Castle in the sky. Underground forest. It's just straight up. That's Ashley. That's where they got that. There's like a huge miss of mine in that Elden Ring review, not to mention I didn't know about it, but what's the other one? It's like post-apocalyptic fantasy. I can't remember the title. This is tricky. Look at this. Nausicaa. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. Yeah, Kayla. Yeah, thank you. Articulating. I'm having like the raw genesis of the ideas, and you're able to articulate it for me. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so here's something. Remembering now about the first Contra, if you, when you go to drop down, you know, holding down and press jump, your guy has to stand up before he can drop. Completely forgot about that. Just cost me my life. Messed. Usually I would play this on the Wii, but I don't have it all hooked up right now. Yes, I did check out those art books. The first volume is definitely the more interesting one. The second one is too, but it's more weapon art and like stuff like icon art. the first one is all the juicy environmental stuff, and that's a bit more interesting. I saved a bunch I wanted to share. I was also thinking, what if I were to compile these and upload them to YouTube, but given how brand new that is, that probably wouldn't be the smartest idea, legally. Or nicest idea, considering they are trying to sell this thing. That's a completely unintentional Neo dodge right there. God. Guy, yeah. Protecting his giant jukebox. Some of them are in-game shots painted over by looks of it. Yeah, I noticed that. I think their process is probably iterative to some extent. So like with some of these, I think like Stormwind Castle, it's like, okay, we have like the core architecture, you know, sorted out, like the base, you know, castle walls and whatnot. And then grabbing some screenshots, like, all right, to spruce this up, here's the idea. And then like paint over those screenshots. And then based on those ideas, then go back and add the modeled, you know, accents. Those kind of like, almost like cubist crown things going on. I might try to describe those, but they're definitely visually pretty interesting. Embarrassing. Okay. One last continue. Jeez, don't blow it. Are a bit more shown at early iterations though. Yeah, I think generally the FromSoft art books are like that. It's like I've gone through the ones for all three Dark Souls titles, and they were all kind of like that. Not too much of the, you know, raw genesis, like of the ideas type stuff. Whoever the American publisher is for the Dark Souls design works, Future Press, maybe? Udon? I don't know. Whoever it is, for some reason, changed the covers on those recently. Like a massive downgrade. There were these kind of, you know, pretty minimalist, nice-looking designs before, and now it's kind of like, kind of garish, like character art thrown on the top. I don't think it looks nearly as nice or sophisticated. So much so that I spent the extra cash and ordered the Japanese version of the Dark Souls 3 book. Which is a very, it's a really nice book. The only art stuff I've seen of theirs where it's they're almost, you know, just like fresh, like pencil drafts on paper are the stuff included with the Demon Souls art book with the deluxe edition, or the Black Phantom edition if you're in EU. But there's so little in there compared to those other ones, which makes sense because, you know, it's just like kind of an extra, a bonus thing, the deluxe edition, rather than a separate, you know, product like the Dark Souls books are. This is so nasty, I love that. That's a great trap. Props to whoever came up with that one. Ah. Continue. Tough. Probably should have done a practice run. Like a complete practice run. Alright, I'm gonna shut up and just focus on this for a little while. LDR a few days back. Take screenshots when I get make an image show on cameras. Oh boy. Basically just I think if I could think of a single flawed moment with a camera in Elden Ring, it's fighting the ulcerated true spirit basically anywhere, but in any kind of indoor environment is just atrocious. Alright. Stream Shadow one of these days. Nico as well. Maybe The Last Guardian at some point. Maybe. Like, that game deserves as much representation as possible, but it is very intense, very emotional. Change of pace from all of the, like, usually extreme hard games I play on these streams. It really sucks that I lost the spread there. Go. I like that the final boss here has a unique pain sound. It's a nice little touch. Not something you really see in games of this vintage, really at all, you know what I mean? Actually see the heart start to beat faster too. I don't think they carried over that detail in Contra 3 when you get the rematch. Maybe that Contra Pro guy earlier could tell us. Bryce, maybe he knows. There we go, Contra, one down. Whew! So last continue, last two lives. Troop is basically with the camera and shadow pans out, changes with hand placed develop shots. Yeah, sure. I think, you know, the pace in Elden Ring is obviously a lot different too. You know, you have, like, fast-paced combat basically consistently. Whereas the only combat you're engaging with Shadow are the Colossi, obviously, and they each have their own, you know, curated camera angles. Hey, Spoon! How you doing? I won't lie, I was getting a little nervous there towards the end. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it. So I haven't played Contra 1 in like a month. I played the first two stages as a practice run right before I started the stream, just to warm up a little bit, so... we made it. Fortunately with the other two games, despite the fact that they are definitely harder, I'm a lot more familiar with them generally. Get the muscle memory. Yeah, 38 minutes for Contra 1. I should say 37. I think the record is like 18 minutes or something. Anyway, yeah, so Contra 1 down. Next up, Contra 3, the Alien Wars. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I'll pop in the actual cart. Why not? Sitting on the shelf, why not? That's why, because it doesn't work half the time. Flash card, here we go. It's the joys of working with original hardware. So a game's cartridge connector is dirty enough that it actually prevents the next game from working. Isn't that great? Yeah, Contra 4 on the DS is fantastic. It's a great game. I'd like to play that again. My copy was stolen, unfortunately. Stuff. Yeah, here we go, jumping from the 8-bit to the 16. Massive jump. Be playing on hard. It's the only way you can get the real final boss and the real ending in this game. Playing on hard mode. This feels so much better than the N64 controller. I can't even compare. Yes. There's a D-pad. Oh yeah. It's so much faster. It feels like I'm playing this in... Yeah, it feels like I'm playing this in fast forward. Crazy. This might be twice the speed of the last game. This is insane. Man, this is like... This is gonna take a minute for my brain to adjust. I was like wondering if something's wrong. Like, is the game normally this fast? Crazy. This is the trade-off for tighter controls, I guess. Combo. A lot of sequels like this on the SNES. You take the NES game and basically pump it full of steroids. Presentation, gameplay, speed. So it's a really great idea starting with the urban setting like this to just further differentiate it between the other two games. Like Super C starts with, you know, like a base or something that you're going through. But by and large, pretty similar to the first game in terms of environments. I will most likely not be watching the TGA, no. Although it is supposedly going to be a lot shorter this year, which is good. But, and not like waiting for Elden Ring, watching all of these game industry events, you know, in the hopes that maybe we get a trailer, sitting through so many of those, I can't anymore. It's terrible. Completely wasted my crush shot there. There's just so much corporate ickiness about those. You know what I mean? Announcing like these massive budget games, which I don't see anyone really giving a shit about, but are presented like for this massive, like, you know, cultural moment or whatever. Yeah. All the sponsorship stuff all over the place. It just feels icky. It's like what it comes down to with any form of media. If you like something, you don't need to have it be validated by it getting an award. It's nice to see good things be recognized, but it's not the end-all be-all, you know? Earlier, the People's Choice Award, it's like the one that, I don't know, it differentiates it from the other categories, but Sonic Frontiers is currently beating Elden Ring and God of War and Stray. It's like, it doesn't matter. Better. I mean, game industry events, I mean, in some ways it's better. I guess it depends on what you're watching it for. If you're hoping for amazingly awkward and staged moments like we used to get in like the glory days of like E3, basically from like 2010 to like 2017 or so, that stuff is probably not happening anymore. For better or for worse. miss the crunch. Should have Jeff Knightley come out in the full Dorito Pope outfit to begin the ceremony this year. This stage is a real showpiece for the Super Nintendo. They really nailed it with this one. This is one of the best stages in the entire series, in my opinion. The encounter design. The visuals, the music. It's impeccable. Like, okay, how can we make Contra even crazier? Well, we're gonna make it much faster, way more enemies on screen simultaneously, constant bosses coming at you that you have to deal with in very organic ways. Oh, we'll also have it so you can climb walls and hang off, you know, rails or whatever. Oh yeah, great idea. Oh, let's also incorporate that into these fights. It's just really great. It all gels together really, really well. The bull rush. Oh. Something like giving a lot of thought to myself in regards to game design. Boss encounters. Interesting mechanics. It's something like this. It's like you're not just dealing with like a moving target that's shooting back at you, but this kind of cat and mouse element, you know? It's just executed really well. It's one of these games that I think future game designers should absolutely be required to study. You know what I mean? We're like, if we have to mandate certain titles like an academic construct, this absolutely deserves to be in there. Is there a naked mod for this game? There's probably a naked mod for every video game ever made. What am I talking about? Of these classic games, so much work, obviously, from the programming to the art and the music, so many hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of hours, all of this money and time and energy that went into this to produce something that is smaller than 5 megabytes. Everdrive. Sorry about your internet, troop. Yes! Oh, man. Screenshot. Go at 1.3 megabytes. Yeah, it's nuts. And it's like at the time, too, you know, it's not like that was too small of an amount of data, but it's just, you know, kind of insane in retrospect. Okay. Probably for the best. Start that level with a fresh set of lives. Fresh continue. It's actually a great spot for getting extra lives right here in the beginning of the stage. There's a patch you can download on romhacking.net to basically eliminate the slowdown. But I feel like this game, that's part of its identity, you know what I mean? Like, is it really Contra 3 if the frame rate isn't tanking every time you pop a bomb? Who's to say? Yeah, slow down. It's all part of the appeal. You'd have to think, you know, there are a few moments in this game where, yeah, it's probably not intentional, but given that something that's going to be happening as frequently as you know, using a bomb, in this case, it must have been. You think of, like, all the shmups, too, where it's like, at the end of a stage, you destroy a boss, and it just absolutely goes nuts with the effects. Like, it's gotta be part of it. That's just part of the aesthetic. Go, go, go! Big arrow. I mean, I guess it is a little unclear. Why would you assume you could climb onto this thing, right? I think that already exists, Spoon. In fact, I'm almost certain it does. Not on original hardware, but I'm pretty sure there's several ways you can emulate Star Fox at 60 FPS now. This gives me trouble. Accelerated, huh? That's too bad. That stage did not go well for me. That's okay. Got like 4 more continues. I know, it's nuts. Whereas, like, again, it's not just like that the gameplay has been cranked to 11. It's like the concepts behind the situations are as well, you know? This is like, you give a 6-year-old too much sugar, and he's played Contra 1, they just like bring him to the office, like, okay, what should be in the Super Nintendo version of Contra? And he just like describes all of this stuff. And it's, I love that. As it should be. So much gnarlier than the first game. Sure, yeah. Spoon, do you like the SNES Star Fox more than 64? Oh man, that was perfect. I didn't even... Unintentional, but very lucky there. Lining it up like this. Nice. Got the SNES one? Yeah, it's the SA1 chip. There's a few games that utilize it. Some for 2D, like Mario RPG, but most of them, yeah, for like very like rudimentary 3D stuff like Star Fox. Okay. Welcome back to the Alien Lair. God, I love this game. This, you see a lot of stuff you saw both in Contra 1, like as we just played, and then Super C. Basically all of these bosses in this boss rush, but all way faster, more hardcore, more going on. I mean, everything's going like at least twice as fast. these aliens? Struts are a little different now. So I love SNES a little bit more, yeah. Yeah, they're both great games, no doubt. That's the strat, I remember. Yeah, I mean, Aliens was huge in Japan. Massively influential. I mean, everywhere worldwide, but it's like Japanese game designers in particular were really crazy about it. Ah, these music transitions are so good. So he spawns back on that side. Jump. This is the moment right here. So good. Cat and mouse thing again. I mean, this piece of music is basically stripped from the Predator soundtrack, but it's all good. And yeah, also very similar to the Aliens track. Alright, here we go. Red Falcon. That's alright. You really you either want the pea shooter. Yeah, it's probably the best right here. So good. It's like one of the coolest moments of this entire console generation, this boss fight. Bill Hicks going nuts. You what's up? Huh? Also another great place to farm lives before the second phase. Unlike Star Trek, which you have to play a good game. I think the first Mass Effect qualifies close enough to a good Star Trek game. Just the first one, though. Kind of captures some of that feeling. I've probably said this before while streaming this, but this phase can either be extremely easy or extremely challenging based on which choices you get here. But you want that one. This one's not so bad if you've got bombs. Just pop them off like that. Easy. If you don't have bombs, good luck. Yes. It's bad. 2 flame. That's bad for this phase. Yeah, all right. Laser. Yeah. If you can be consistent and keep hitting this one, you basically just get hooked up with a bunch of free items, and it's cake. One of the easier ones. Yeah, this is going pretty well. There we go. Crush shot's good. I wish I had something other than flame in the first slot, but that'll do. So one last phase. You only get this if you're playing on hard mode, which I am. Otherwise, the game ends basically right here. And instead of getting an ending or credits, you just get a message telling you to try again in hard. Yeah, this is gnarly, which is why being fully stocked on bombs like I am now is a good thing. Also, how dramatic is it to just keep firing bombs into this thing's face over and over? I just lost them all. Not too worried about it. See who's gonna die first. Yeah. Alright, we'll let the ending and credits roll. I'm gonna go grab a drink. I'll be right back. Okay, back. Thank you. Oh, I missed the last bit of the ending there. He lands in the crowd and everyone's celebrating. I really love the little sprite of like the alien dog who turns and smiles at the camera. That's cute. That's a lot of fun. Okay. Next up, moving on to the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, depending on your region. For Contra Hardcore. Which, yeah, now I think about it, it might be my current favorite. So I'm going to be playing the US version, but with the HP restored back into it as it was in the Japanese version. So I'm guessing, you know, Konami of America probably thought, oh, this isn't hardcore enough. This is Contra. They took that out, but I don't know. Hardcore is hardcore enough. Although, you know, having like the ground dash in this one is a real game changer. It does make the game quite a bit easier if you use it correctly. I mean, you basically have iframes. There's no other Contra that I'm aware of that has that, and it's really good. So again, the Japanese one, you could turn the lives all the way up to 10, that's way overkill. So default was 3. I'm going to set it to 5. I think that's a good compromise. This seems a little louder. Let's see. Let me know once the game starts if the music's too loud, and I'll turn it down. The game's too loud. How many times have I beat these? Many. Although I'm a little embarrassed that I didn't do as well as I was hoping to in the first 2 games there. So it's been a while since I've played through them, but I've played all of these a lot. They're some of my favorite games. Hardcore is really nice. Yes, indeed. I had a lot of friends doing voice acting over it. Friend. Well, yeah, it's definitely very over the top, as you said. Who's your favorite character in this one, Spoon? I love this. It's like, how should we have the character select screen work? Why don't we have their faces literally morph into each other? That seems like a good idea. All right, yeah, cool. You got your standard Contra guy, Contra gal, Wolfman. He's got a, look how cool he is. He's got his sunglasses on. Brownie and Werewolf? Yeah, me too. Brownie is my favorite. Listen to this. Everything about this is awesome. Yeah, this is probably my favorite Contra now. I don't know. Contra 3 is close, but this is so good. It's like the maximalist approach to all of it. Fits the Contra gameplay. You know what I mean? Like they're still holding back a little bit the presentation of the last game. The gameplay was nuts. They took the presentation to 11. Yeah, this almost reminds me of some of the visuals in the beginning of Snatcher or Metal Gear 2. Will I fight the secret boss? Are you talking about Simon Belmont? I hope I didn't just spoil it for you if you never saw it. I could do a couple runs of this. Because if you do that secret boss, you really only get to play through like 2/3 of the game. Alright, how about this? I'll play through this. I'll do 2 runs. And because you get to choose which stages you want to play, we'll get to see basically the whole game. It's all pretty short anyway. Here we go. Yeah! What a game. What a game. See, this is what I picture anytime somebody starts telling me why I should play, like, The Last of Us or whatever. God of War. These images and these sounds just start flashing in my brain. Not to hate on those games, they have their appeal. It's all good. For me, I need this kind of like intensity. No holds barred, crank it to 11 type stuff. Contra mostly went to poop in the 3 era. That's what I've heard. I've never touched any of those PS1 games because I heard they were all garbage. Shattered Soldier on the PS2 though is good. That's a good game. It's probably the hardest game in the series. It's good though. For me, the thing with Shattered Soldier is it's so abrasive in the presentation that I basically have to play it with the volume turned down. It's like Machine Gun and all these other games. Nice and loud, satisfying, but, you know, not crazy. In Shattered Soldier, it sounds like loud gunfire in your ear. So, like, the constant burst of it is a little intense. A little bit of a headache-inducing game. Somebody's inside that thing. I love all of Brownie's weird weapons, too. Other than him being a cool little robot guy, his weapons just being all so odd. What is this? He's like firing his DNA all over the place. What's he doing? Molecular attack. Yeah. Call me Deadeye Joe. Okay, so first choice here. I guess basically, like I said, I'll do both routes, but what should I do first? Go after Deadeye Joe or rescue the research center? You tell me. Which one should I do first? Turn the brightness down on this monitor. It's a little cracked up. You can see all of it, so it doesn't really matter. Scientist. So, research center. Nice Blade Runner pyramids back there. It's Tyrell Corp expanding. Check out the parallax scrolling on the city in front of the pyramids, though. All of the different layers. That looks really beautiful. I've never noticed that before. I've never noticed that they're actually moving at different speeds. Like each individual layer of pixels, each row. It's probably hard to see when it's moving this speed with YouTube compression, but that looks really nice. Really convincing depth perception. Same thing with all these clouds here too. This guy looks familiar. took one. Yeah, the rotation effects look amazing. Very convincing. We're after the alien cell. They got it from some other alien, and the alien was 5 years ago. So the rampaging robot was just a clever dispersion. It's like these Konami games, the era, like Metal Gear 2 did the same thing. But what should the scientist look like? Oh, he's a scientist, right? Just have him look like Einstein. Okay. Oh no, I'm too late. This guy, I don't know if he's supposed to be like the rebuilt version of the boss from the third game there, but it's kind of a pushover compared to Big Brother or whatever. Stuff they do with the flashing sprites in this, where they don't just like flash a color, but they seem to move really quickly through these like intense gradients. It's really good. Gorgeous game. Crown Trigger? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'd be interested to learn what that technique's called. Incorporate that into the ninja game. Yeah. So yeah, the Genesis actually has a faster processor than the SNES, despite coming out and hitting the market at least 18 months prior. Yeah, Genesis, well, Mega Drive is like 89, SNES was 91, right? Yeah, it had a pretty big head start. Obviously, there's some things that the SNES can do technologically better, just in terms of like raw specs for the Super Nintendo, than the Genesis, I mean, but... in terms of like multiple things occurring simultaneously, the Genesis has the cake via that slightly faster processor. I'm still trying to decide between these two Genesis models that I have, by the way. I'm kind of going nuts comparing the two. So I'm trying to decide which one to keep. So I'm doing all these like audio and visual comparisons back to back. Completely incredibly minute details, but I'm obsessed with having the best. So I gotta choose. Right now though, I'm playing on a Model 1 VA3 revision Genesis. That's been, it's got the triple bypass mod going on. So basically, as the name suggests, it bypasses the system's internal audio amp and video amp. Which eliminates any kind of hum or noise. Anyway, long story short, pretty optimized. Holograms and Pogs. I miss Pogs. These are the days. Play hopscotch. That's a really tricky dodge. I guess I want to get back on. Yeah, it's nice. I love the heat effect on the sun back there too. Like all this like pollution in the atmosphere. All right. Here's the secret, Spoon. Want to make some money? Look at this guy. Give it a try, forget about it. This track. Like the Gabber version of Simon's theme. Ah, evil baby. Tough boss. Look at this. Portal. I like Krang from the Ninja Turtles. Curses! The interdimensional portal is still open. Oh. Ouch! Several years pass before Brownie repopulates the Earth with the Monkey Queen. Damn you! Damn you all the hell! Perhaps there's something to be said about the AI, the robot, the successor of man. Not only replacing him, but going a step further and replacing him completely, entirely on the evolutionary food chain. Nice guy. Bike man. Yeah, those bosses are all totally secret. Climbing up that wall and talking to, like, that weird guy wearing the top hat. That's all secret. You do not get to see those otherwise. Waking up a little bit now thanks to the Contra hardcore effect on the brain. John Meston. Yeah, exactly. Dr. Zaius. Hey, no continues. Okay, one more go. And we'll do one of the proper routes this time. So good, I know. Incredible. Oh, there's that parallax effect. You can see it right there too in the background. More noticeable as we're moving at a slower pace. I think it opens up again after this building. Another look. Nice while it lasted. There's so many little touches, like with this. If you turn while firing it, it takes a second to, change direction. But if you release and begin firing again, you're rewarded with more immediate, bit of aiming. These like little touches that add up and feel really good. Okay, so first stage may last the best. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I think I've recommended this site before, but if you guys are into interviews with older game developers, definitely check out the site shmuplations.com. That's SHMUPLATIONS.com. Tons and tons and tons of interviews that you're not going to find anywhere else because they originally only published in Japanese and different magazines and whatnot back in the day. And whoever runs that site just goes through and translates all this gold material. It's really good, really interesting. Yep, shmuplations. You'll love it. One of the absolute best online resources for any aficionado of classic gaming. See how good that slide is? So good. Yeah, not only is it a great site with great info, but there's basically zero ads. It's not cluttered at all. There's no social media integration crap in there. It's just, here's the info. Here's the interviews. Enjoy. All right. So now we'll go after Deadeye Joe. See the alternative choice. Completely different stage. So much content in this cartridge. Crashes into the building and it collapses. Incredible. Yeah, it is a great site, honestly. Lots of great info. And the thing is, too, a lot of those interviews, for some of the, kinds of high-profile developers like Miyamoto, that you would get stuff in English, but I think due to just the fact that it's operating through, maybe a more artificial environment, this is like some kind of situation where he's being interviewed and there's several people present, including English translators and whatnot. You have stuff where it's quite a bit more casual, and as a result, some of these guys and ladies are willing to let their guard down a bit more, which I think just is generally more interesting, god. Another graphic showcase for the Mega Drive here. Look at this. And unlike the Super Nintendo, the Genesis didn't really have alternate display modes. It didn't have something equivalent to Mode 7. So all of this stuff had to be done, you know, basically with programming tricks. It's pretty impressive. One of my favorite quotes from any video game. Damn, he blew himself up. Did you find a cool site recently? A collection of retro game shots at 1080p. Crazy how good some older games look. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think some of the, I think probably the single best example of that are the 5th gen systems, PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. It's like Xbox had a lot of 480p games. GameCube had a pretty good amount of 480p games. PS2 didn't have so many, but it was just the right level of technology where I think a lot of the time the level of detail and art design was being obscured by the lower rendering resolutions. Like I said earlier, I think, you know, a lot of PS1 and N64 games look really good upscaled, but PS2, Xbox, and GameCube, there's like this sweet spot of really beautiful, clean graphics. Like, we're not in the 6th gen yet, where we're like slathering all these like post-processing effects all over the place, going nuts with the bloom, and it upscales really nice. I think Ninja Gaiden Black is probably like the penultimate example of that, if not the ultimate example of that. That upscales so beautifully. As you saw, you know, I streamed it a few months back. You know, we're talking about a game that originally came out in 2004. You know, it looks gorgeous. I tried Zemu again recently, the Xbox emulator, and it's definitely running better. You know, still not as nice as playing it on OG hardware or, you know, on Xbox, the modern Xbox systems. But it is running better, but you still cannot get it to look as good as it can on an Xbox One X or an Xbox Series X. It's like, not only is the game rendering at 4K, but it's actually applying better texture filtering and really nice anti-aliasing on top of that. On top of rendering at 4K. So I don't think I'm going to be letting go of my Xbox One X anytime soon. So it's like the Xbox, it's like, this is the American, you know, game console, but all of the games that I own for it, which are all these old games that came out on the first Xbox, they're all Japanese games. Ninja Gaiden, Atogi 1 and 2, Panzer Dragoon Orta. They look so good. Oh man. Pretty soon I'm gonna do a Panzer Dragoon stream. I'm gonna play through the first 2 on the Saturn and then Orta on the 1X. Do you think the transitions between something like this has been nice? Orta might be the best looking Xbox game. You know, the original Xbox. Probably between that and Ninja Gaiden Black. Maybe Dead or Alive 3. I don't know. Look at his little feet. So yeah, this spot right here, this is where you climb up. If you climb up that wall, that's how you get to that secret stage we saw a few minutes ago. You can climb up and tell the guy no, if you felt compelled to do so for some reason. Yeah, exactly, Troop. That's a good summary of it. Another one of the coolest moments of the game. Check this out. Welcome to the virtual zone. See what I mean? I mean, the game... called hardcore, but with that ground dash and the iframes, I don't think it's quite as crazy. Contra 3. I think it's a little easier. I am playing as Brownie 2 as smaller hitbox and the double jump, so that is helping as well. Boss. I mean, outside of the technology, I want you to try and think of a recent example of something like, okay, so you're going after this guy, and then you find him, and then he pulls you into cyberspace, and then you fight a bunch of shifting boss forms that are all based on the various zodiac signs with completely different attack patterns. And then he turns into these like abstract geometric patterns that are like rotating and changing their, position and relationship to each other in order to form these other recognizable objects. Like, it's not just the technology, it's the ideas. This is absolutely bonkers, and I love it. It's one of those bosses that was so incomprehensibly tough the first time I played this, and now not so much. I'm just trying to make a buck. You can save your sob story for the people at headquarters. I played it was some like spin-off of D&D. Like tabletop RPG, maybe Pathfinder? I don't know. It had like a futuristic setting. And this was like several years ago now. My character was basically a robot that the idea was that he would be trained on, like the summary of like human culture. Like it would produce like this very sophisticated, artificial intelligence that would basically, be capable of anything, fulfill any role in society, whatever the humans needed it to. But due to some like, very specific malfunction in the data banks in his like, space station that he's drifting along in, it basically deleted everything except for the 80s action movies. So you had this like combination of sophisticated artificial intelligence, and all he can do is like copy Rambo and Jean-Claude Van Damme, all the classic Arnold movies or whatever. That was a good campaign. Visually, I was basically picturing him as Vector Man. Poor Vector Man. He had 2 decent games on the Genesis. Never got really a chance to try in 3D, ironically. Eric's funny game idea. Well, if anyone out there is watching, please don't copy my idea. Thank you. No, it's okay. If you take that idea and make it a video game, that's fine. Just the only thing I ask is that you make it a good one. I got a big notebook full of game ideas. Someday I'd like to bring to fruition. Hi, Mouse. I wouldn't expect any less. No, just kidding. Welcome aboard. Another one earlier today while I was working out. Again, it's being stored in the memory banks until the time is right. Like Fred Flintstone? Yabba dabba doo, baby! Oh. Bosses are so good. They're so creative. What's that Beastie Boys line about Fred Flintstone? I'm trying to remember. It's a good one. Like Fred Flintstone driving around with both feet. God, the bosses are dancing. I do too. I love this. Just so much energy. Whoops. Now, this boss, this I think is the only flaw in this entire game. It's not a bad boss, it just goes on way too long. And again, it's not bad. Not a bad boss. It just goes on too long. There's not really a way to make it go any faster because you've got all these phases where you're just kind of like waiting for him to be vulnerable again. Unless there's some kind of secret trick I don't know about, but a lot of waiting. Music's cool, fortunately, at least. secret ending definitely shaves off. Yeah. Well, it's like the Shura ending in Sekiro. It's like, you're almost surprised not only by what happens, but the fact that, you know, with knowledge of all the additional content that you know, didn't get to experience, that the game developers would even be willing to let you end the game that soon. Like, I finished my, you know, the playthrough of Sekiro I was doing the other night, and I absolutely loved it even more than I, you know, my first playthrough back in 2019. That game is a masterpiece, one of their best for sure. But there's a way to end the game and get an ending like 60% of the way through it. And it's not just like the quantity of the content that you're missing out on, but some of these scenarios and the visuals and the environments that you don't get to see are just like bewildering. That's the craziest, you know, most recent example. And even, you know, amongst, you know, From Software, because they have several examples of that kind of thing. These optional areas. That one's the craziest. It's not like you have to go out of your way to make that decision. But yeah, this is another, you know, an older example of that kind of thing. But this game in general, as we, you know, as you see, it has several different kind of paths you can play through it. I think there's 5 endings, 6 maybe. So yeah. To see through the entire game, you have to play through it, I think 3 or 4 times, to see through all the content. Yeah, this boss is nuts. This phase. The elastic phase. Actually, like, cause and effect. Reacting to the amount of force that you're hitting him with. Not a fan of auto-scroll. I mean, I am sometimes. I'm not against it in concept. It's just that particular one, I feel like it kind of goes a little against the ethos of the rest of the game. Rondo. Man, what an eye-opening experience that was, huh? I'll tell you this, Spoon. I played it for the first time last month and I was not really into it, to be honest with you. But, you know, maybe I'd feel differently if I were to play it again, but after playing it, especially, you know, immediately before or after, you know, some like Castlevania 4, Bloodlines, I don't think it's as good, personally. But obviously, definitely should give it a shot. Treacherous little... Now, I'm trying to think which ending leads you to the alien cell fight. Hold on a sec. I mean, every ending in this is cool, but that one in particular I think is the best. And I think it's the one I did the last time I streamed this. But I'd like to do it again because I just think that it really is the coolest one. Flypods? No, it's the one where it looks almost, it's like a big like H.R. Geiger boss. It's like this giant like screen filling thing. With like a feminine face built into it. think this would be something readily available with a Google search, but not quite. Bear with me, hold on. Yeah, fight till the end. That's our choice. I think. We'll see. Our insane piece of music. Listen to this. That Venetian Snare song, huh? Cool. Yeah, definitely check out that. I mean, that whole album is cool, Detrimentalist, but his Creme de la Creme is probably the track that Federico linked. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it, but it's commonly known as the Hungarian album. Kind of like amber color tones with the pigeons for the album art. Besides something, something, something. This guy. So sweet. Poor little dude. Look at this. Oh no! Just unbridled creativity for the video game. Running amok and threatening the entire headquarters. man, another awesome piece of music. This entire soundtrack is top-notch, one of the best on the Genesis. That's saying a lot, considering how many good ones there are. You use the word amok? No. Probably do sometimes. Run amok. Yeah, this is my favorite ending path in the game. The others are certainly cool, but overall I think this is the best one in terms of visuals, music, all that good stuff. You got your classic Contra alien layer. But again, I want to stress that there are 4 or 5, maybe 6 possible routes throughout the game. And there are several stages that you need to replay the game in order to see. Die. First game over. Are you? Trout boy. Kind of this guy being an evolution of the Super C boss. We saw him again in Contra III, but again, more dynamic, more interesting in terms of the actual mechanics. Pretty similar overall fight. Making it rain. And we get another mix-up. Yeah. The speed of this actually does pick up, as you see here. Doom, but on mushrooms. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good description, actually. I might be starting to appreciate the Genesis controller over the SNES when it comes to the 16-bit consoles. SNES controller is great, but like playing these games back to back, I might have to hand it to the Genesis controller, honestly. Oh yeah, here we go. Yes! Almost like Devil Crush, blowing the feminine face off to reveal this demonic reptilian thing underneath. Alright, listen to this soundtrack. Listen to the double bass kick drums in a sec there. So gnarly. Video games. Not only is this route the coolest stage, the coolest boss, and the coolest music, but we get the coolest credits as well with the best music. Another awesome piece. I'm gonna shut up for a second, let this roll out, and I'll be right back. Okay, back. Thanks for waiting. So, yeah, that's Contra Hardcore. Incredible game. Phenomenal. Fantastic. What can I say? It's really great. So, in terms of Contra games, that is about it, I think, for tonight. Played through Contra 1, Contra 3, The Alien Wars, Contra Hardcore. But I kind of want to keep streaming. So, let me think. What should I do? Think about it. Here's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a 5-minute break or so, and then I think I'm gonna fire up another stream. And I'm gonna play some 2D fighters here on the Saturn. Play some classic Street Fighter 2, some Vampire Savior, stuff like that. But I'm gonna split these streams up because this is a Contra stream and was labeled as such, so that's what it should be. Alien Soldier, so I can finally see. I have played very little of that, so I don't think I would be qualified to say whether or not it's any good. I think it's probably good, but I don't know. So yeah, here's what I'm gonna do, folks. I'm gonna wrap this particular stream up, but I'm gonna start up a new one here in just a few minutes. We'll say 8 o'clock. Well, 8 minutes from now, so it's 7:52 for me. I'll start it at 8, so regardless of your time zone, about 8 minutes. I'll start up a new one. It'll be right here on this same channel. So if you're lurking, cool, no problem, no sweat. It's all good. There it is. And you're chilling here in the chat. Spoon, Malice, Troop. Feel free to join me, and no pressure if you'd rather go do something else. No problemo. Yeah. It's been a long weekend, and I'm ready. I need to blow off some more steam playing some more video games. So that's what I'm gonna do. So hope you'll join me, and if not, like I said, great either way. It's all good. This has been Contra. Fantastic set of little games. Really fun revisiting these as always. And I am thinking Contra Hardcore is probably at the top of the pile for me now. What a game. Hard to beat. Gameplay, music, graphics. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. If you're out of here, take care. If you're going to be joining me again in a minute, I'll see you soon. In either case, farewell.